Hello everyone and welcome back to Rimworld. I'm John, and I'm sorry if this video is a little awkward today because what you're actually watching is my commentary of the video because I kind of lost. The audio is very out of sync on this video. I tried to fix it and I decided it'd be easier to just come back, comment over the episode, so here we go. Let's see how this works out. So if I remember right, Me School for Ninjas. Yes, we were preparing for a raid of tribespeople. And as I took a better look at these guys, I sized them up and I said, they've only got bows, they've just got spears. I'm not too worried about it. We've secured the door, and we've already got some sandbags set up to deter these guys, so I just carry on business and hope that they don't attack at night. And after much preparation, the assault began. All the colonists rushed to their battle stations, and of course, Macy and Dunsmore were allowed to rest. Jari trying to finish up his last task, and he too was going to take a rest, and Me was going to take the first shift alone with her rifle, waiting for the tribespeople to come over the horizon. And I decided, it might be best if I let her sleep just a wink before they come, but I was a little late in my decision. By the time I sent her to bed, they were already here, and she was awake again. Out the door. And oh no, Frankie the party board looks like he might be in the line of fire. No, he's getting out of here. Okay. Me takes one shot, retreats, and apparently it was a good shot because they decide to kidnap who they can and get out of there. And just in case, I decide it might be a good idea to ambush this guy. Because I figure, hey, if I can take a prisoner at least, maybe we get a new member of the colony, or we can kill this guy and take his clothes so that Macy can finally have some clothes. That unfortunate little girl. Oh man, so I send Strapping and Macy back because they're both my melee guys, and I put all three of the guns people in the room, but apparently he opens the door, sees the guns standing there waiting for him, and he's like, oh, well, fuck this. And I am unable, I believe. Yeah, I give chase. But the combined efforts of me, Jari, and Dunsmore are not enough. And the tribesperson escapes. And with the action concluded, everybody heads back to their respective jobs. A little disappointed because we really wanted to get some clothes or a person out of that raid. And unfortunately, there was just nothing doing there. The tribespeople saw what they were up against, and they did the smart thing and got out while they could. Once the raid had blown over, Strapping got back to work, constructing the dining room, of course, and I decided that even though he had been taking some time to build all the stools and make sure that all the seating was ready to go, I wanted him to get the table in right away. So I told him, hey, Strapping, get to it, put in that table. And of course, I realized that once again, I was low on wood. So Strapping was back on wood cutting duty. And off into the wilderness he goes to chop more trees. Which, we are striking further and further out every day to find these trees. It's going to eventually become a bit of an issue where I might have to plant a tree farm inside my borders and grow my own wood. But I'm not too worried about it right now, and as I move back over to check the progress of the bedrooms, I notice that Jari and Macy are kind of bonding a little over their, they had similar upbringings. They both grew up in the cave worlds, in the tunnels, not really seeing the light of day too often, so they're both very at home at Me School for Ninjas, especially with this job right here. And Macy and Jari are becoming fast friends, it seems. Good for them. And here I realized that Dunsmore's first name was Ethan, which I hadn't actually taken note in the past. And as it turns out, Ethan Dunsmore, as well as his talents as a grower and as a professional naked cowboy, he apparently is a great crafter already and will become invaluable once we actually get the research bench up, once we research a tailoring workshop. And I believe that crafting is the skill set that's used in tailoring. So of course, Dunsmore will get to work right away once the tailor's bench is up, constructing himself and Macy some clothes so they can finally cover their fucking shame. Meanwhile, I'm expressing my concern here because it doesn't look like I'm going to finish these bedrooms. But at least, at the very least, I think I might be able to finish Me's bedroom. Because it's fully mined out. And, we can get the walls in really quickly. So I'm going to go for it here. And I set hard at work, outlining the walls, getting everything ready to go. I'm making sure that all the resources are set. Because at this time, I still really, really believed that I was going to get these bedrooms in this episode. Well, I hate to spoil the ending, guys, but at the time of this narration, I still don't have those bedrooms in. And I've recorded 3 or 4 more episodes from here, so I'm just going to warn you right now, this takes a while. As you might expect, and as I kind of should have known going in. Mining this complex out is going to take a very long time, but it's going to pay off in the long run. I've sent Jari out to mine some metal, having Macy finish up the bedroom they were working on, because they left behind a little scrap in the corner, those lazy bastards. But we need metal, and we haven't struck metal anywhere that we want to dig. So I'm sending them off outside of the internal complex to mine for once, so they're finally stepping out into the light of day. But of course it's nighttime, so they get no such benefit of sunlight. And they're going to get me some metal, so some of these conduit walls can go in. And maybe, just maybe, I can at least finish one bedroom this episode. Because that would be beautiful. We're getting to a point in the game where these people should not be sharing a room anymore. And it looks like Dunsmore and Strapping are now just... Are they fighting? Are they friends? It's hard to tell where I am at this point. I'm sorry if that ends up being a spoiler, guys, but Dunsmore and Strapping, once enemies, have now become best of friends because they chopped wood together, they bonded, and oh jeez. So I'm going to point something out right now, as long as I'm here. If you'll notice, all of the colonists are currently sleeping outside, because technically the door got broken off during that tradesperson raid, and I have not noticed yet, but all of them are taking a bit of a penalty to their happiness because the wind is just whistling in through this door and making everyone cold and uncomfortable all night. And, well, I don't think here is the moment. Oh, jeez, I hate to say it, but I think it takes me a little while longer before I even notice that that's an issue. But that's just how I am sometimes. I'm sorry about that, but it's just how I am. You can't change who you are. And it looks like I'm looking at Macy. I'm noticing that it said she slept outside. I think this might be the moment. Yup. I'm like, what's going on here? Slept outside? That doesn't make sense. Why were you sleeping outside, Macy? Get your act together, kid. And then I look over and I decide it might be a good idea to check somebody else. And I'm like, you know what? Let's take a look. I don't check anybody else. I noticed she slept outside, but at the moment, I have no other piece to connect in that mystery. I didn't see it happen. I don't know why it happened. And I decided to just move on with my life, apparently. Unfortunately for Macy, she is still going to be without... Oh, God. Unfortunately for everybody, not just Macy, everyone's having to deal with this right now. They're probably all really pissed off about it, too. It's probably like the main thing they complain about. They're like, God, why has nobody put the door in? And let's be honest, they don't realize that some omnipotent like figure is commanding them to do things. They just sort of like, what the hell, Strapping? Why aren't you doing this? Because constructing things is his job. And here I realized that my crops were not in my home region, and probably very vulnerable to fire, had I not fixed that. But luckily, now they're covered. And if any fire gets out of control in that area, my colonists will automatically run out and put it out, because they don't extinguish fires, not in their home regions. which can be a bit of a problem if you get a brush fire spreading somewhere outside your base. It can get inside, and then you have a out of control fire that's going to be hard to take down. So you got to be careful about that kind of thing sometimes. And oh, look, the table is finally in, which means that although the research bench isn't done, oh, look, I'm going to make him finish it. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Because the table's in, once the research is in, the research bench, we can truly, in true fashion, begin the party era of Me School for Ninjas, with me sitting by the research bench, pumping jams through the day, and everyone has to pass through there to eat, and she just talks to everybody. And, because she likes to sit down, have a rap sesh, talk it over, get some ideas, bounce things off of people. She'll swivel around in her chair and be like, what do you think about this thing I'm working on, and that's how eventually she comes to, the realization that they can employ a tailor in the area, because she's talking to the Dunsmore. He's like, yeah, I'm really sad that I'm naked all the time. And she says, I think we could do something about that if we just make like a tailor workshop. And Dunsmore's like, why hadn't I thought of that? I am indeed a craftsman. And oh look, I'm finally getting around to fixing this wall now, because I've just realized that Jari is going all the way around to cook his food still when he cooks. I'm also realizing that he's not cooking right now. I don't know if I've noticed that, but I think I need to modify the kind of meals he's making. I think that's the problem. I could be wrong. But either way, Strapping is going to put this door back in now. And that's going to fix up the cook stove, and I think we'll see if Jari wants to get back to his cook then. Oh yeah, it looks like Jari's going to do some butchering, actually. Sometimes it helps Jari relax. He just grabs a deer, heads to the table, starts cutting it up. And I mean, you got to do something to deal with living with Strapping all the time. So I understand that kind of impulse, Jari. It's a little bit strange. I kind of wonder where Jari goes sometimes. He sometimes just kind of disappears, and I don't see him for a while, and then he comes back, and he kind of smells funny. Well, I guess I shouldn't be too worried about it, after all. I mean, he is a fantastic chef, so he can do whatever he wants. Oh, geez. Well, he's carrying back another deer corpse. That's probably why he smells, actually. He's probably going off and grabbing corpses. Ugh. It's dirty work being the chef for this compound, because are they eating raw meat right now? I think I just watched someone eat raw meat. What is going on with that? I don't even know. It looks like Jari is just not really on top of his cooking too much right now. Wow, I definitely didn't notice that on my first playthrough, but I wish I hadn't seen it now, me, because I'm a little disappointed that you were eating raw meat. That's disgusting. But I guess she was in a research frenzy. Oh, look at how unhappy she is because she ate raw food too. But she was in a research frenzy, and she had to get to that bench and start cracking right now. She's been waiting for, days, a month now, for this bench to go in. I mean, since she got here, it's been her dream. I mean, this is what she wants to do with her life, is just sit at this bench, research things, and talk to people that pass through the room. That is her entire meaning in life. And, if that's what she wants to do, can't blame her too much. Because for her, outside is just being forced to kill people, and, inside is happiness and comfort because she led a rich childhood that was torn from her when she was conscripted as a ninja assassin at the age of 16. So, of course, she wants to just retreat inside this mountain. I think that's understandable. Well, it looks like everyone's heading back to bed for the night here. And, yep, me being one of the last to turn in, but not the last, because of course, Strapping, yet absent from the bedroom, still out, hard at work, but also he just doesn't like talking to people, generally, so he goes to bed last, because that way, everyone's already asleep, he can just slip into bed. By the time he wakes up, everyone's gone. It's kind of the perfect situation for Strapping. because that way he can, the last thing he sees when he goes to bed is everybody else, but at least it's not the first thing he sees in the morning when he wakes up. Because one time he tried to go to bed before everybody else, and when he woke up, he just saw all those people around him, and it made him so angry. It was the worst thing in the world in the morning. Now I'm kind of, where is Strapping? Where has he been all night? Strapping, what are you up to? Well, he finally has gone to bed at, oh my god, midnight, it looks like. And everybody else already sound asleep. I wonder what's going on there. But I guess I shouldn't be too worried about it. Maybe he was just up late working. That must have been what was going on. Well, and it looks like morning is dawning. The sun is rising. Everyone's rising from bed except Strapping, who is up extremely late, as we know. And everyone sets back to work. Macy and Jari off to mine the metal together for the walls, for the bedrooms. Me back to her research bench. And Dunsmore, I guess Dunsmore probably is off to clean. That seems to be how he occupies most of his time. And oh look, Macy and Jari continue to bond. And I'm waiting until they finish mining this patch of metal to assign them to mine the next one. But it looks like they're actually smart enough to realize at this point that that's what they need to be doing. Because, well, okay, not Jari. He wants to cook. Jari always wants to cook. I mean, I can understand that, though. It's kind of his passion in life. The cook is what he lives for. It looks like Dunsmore is up there giving Macy a word of wisdom before he scampered off back to his cleaning job. But no, wait. He's heading back up there. He wasn't quite done talking to her. So he's like, no, I still want to have a chat with Macy, let her know to be careful with that Strapping fellow. And that he also, he's seen Jari and Macy talking a bit, and he thinks it's good that she's making other friends in the compound, so he's saying, like, it's good that you're talking to Jari. He's a good, solid fellow who loves to cook. And, I mean, those are two pretty solid attributes in a guy. And out here on the rim, there aren't many options for people. So when you're in a compound with someone like Strapping, you got to take your friends where you can get them. Those were his words of wisdom for Macy, because Macy was complaining about Strapping coming up there and giving her shit when he came to get his medal. And Dunsmore's like, look, that's just how Strapping is. And so Macy has retreated deep into the tunnels, though, to avoid Strapping. Dunsmore's having a talk with Strapping in the hallway, like, bro, it was kind of uncool. But Strapping wasn't listening. He just kept walking. And Dunsmore understands now. He understands Strapping a little bit better than he used to, so he heads back. He's thinking about having a chat with Macy, but he doesn't really know what else to say to her, because clearly she's very angry about the whole Strapping situation, and it's not going to blow over anytime soon. So I think he's just going to let it lie. Keep on cleaning. Because he wants to get this room ready to go as well. All of these bedrooms need to be cleaned out. They need to have all the rubble removed before the floors go in, and everyone's ready to come in here and sleep. Because you don't want to sleep on a pile of rubble. It's just not a pretty place. And although it's bad sleeping in a room with 5 other people, it's also bad sleeping in a room with a bunch of rubble. And either way, I think they'll be very unhappy. And I think now is the moment that I realized that, I'm actually pretty close to finishing one of the bedrooms. And obviously the first bedroom completed is going to be Mi's bedroom, because this is her school. This is her labor of love. She's really the glue that holds the whole complex together. She is the linchpin of this mob, the head honcho, the big kahuna. So she gets first room. And I believe that I'm currently making plans to make a rush at that room tonight and just try to get it done. I hope I'm right, because if I'm not, it's going to be awkward when that's not what happens. But, Mi has really had enough of sleeping with all of these other clowns in the compound. And, I mean, everyone's tired of it, of course, but because Mi is in charge, she should get a room first. She deserves it. So, as the night draws to a close, and it looks like everyone's starting to think about bed, I'm like, no, we're going to get this bed in, me. We're going to set it down, get it installed, and you're going to sleep in your own room tonight. And everybody is on full-time duty, hauling rocks, putting in walls. Nobody gets to rest this night, except for Jari, who will not haul rocks. But me's going to go lend a hand, of course, as well. And Strapping is going to come in here and finish these walls. We're making a run for it, folks. We're totally going to do it. This bedroom's going in this episode. Just one, guys. I just wanted one bedroom in this episode. But then, it seems the crew has other plans because Jari already is asleep. And once Jari falls asleep, everyone else is already starting to lag behind a little. They're like, oh, well, Jari's in bed, and if he's in bed, why are we still up working? Dunsmore and Macy are out here talking about it. They're like, you know what, we're just going to go to bed. And I try to force their hand, force them to come in here and work, but I realize that it's probably futile. Macy makes it. She's asleep. Strapping, going straight for the bed. And at that point, once me also gives up, I decide, yeah, it's over. Well, I think that's it for this episode, guys. So, I'm sorry that it was delivered in this way. It's probably going to be a little bit shorter, too, because I'm going to cut some bits out, try to make it flow a little nicer. But until then, I've been John, and this has been Rimworld. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope to see you guys next episode, which will hopefully have its actual original audio, and not a recording, where I don't actually entirely know what's going on sometimes.